Hey YouTube, Joe here. Just let me get this out of the way. So we're out here in the wood shop slash paddle shop. I'm going to shoot another quick little video here. As a lot of you probably already know, I also do a lot of paddles, Joe O paddles, and I've built a lot of them over the years. And this video today, it isn't about any of the paddles that I make, it's about 3 of my favorite paddles that I didn't make. So we're going to go over those, and I'll just talk about them a little bit. Okay, so first up is my wing paddle. Now I'm best known for the paddles, for the Greenland style paddles I've been building all along. I built probably pretty close to 2,000 of those. But I do still have a wing paddle. It's an Epic, US based company. It's the Epic mid-wing. You look at the blades there. Now for fun I did put my decals on the back of the blades, why not? It's got the adjustable length lock on it, and you can also adjust the feather on it. Now, this paddle, I'll use this a lot when taking out the surf ski, one of the multi-sport racers, sometimes in a sea kayak. I use it when I want to go fast and build power. I won't use it for tripping, for long distance stuff. I did not use it for the Vancouver Island expedition, but I did use it when training to get ready for going back to BC to get the Vancouver Island speed record back in 2010. I was so busy I didn't have a lot of time to do the long distance training that I thought I was going to be doing, so instead I was only training 2 or 3 times a week, about 3 times a week, but shorter distance, high tempo, high speed, high intensity, and for that I was using the wing paddle. Very much harder on the body, built a lot of power. When switching back to the Greenland, it all felt nice and effortless, and it worked to a charm. So that's my Epic wing paddle. I've had it for about 12, maybe 13 years, oh 12 years I would say, 12 years, and I won't be getting rid of that anytime soon. So that's the Epic wing. Okay, next up we have bench shaft canoe paddle. This one is from a US based company, Zaveral, very popular with the racing crowd, and I've had this one since 2004, got it spring 2004 while living out in Kamloops, BC. I was getting ready to take off on a cross-country solo canoe trip, and Zaveral is gracious enough to be one of my sponsors. They donated this paddle. It's actually let me think, the weight is right around, I'm going by memory here, I believe it's around 10.5 ounces. It's actually their heavy-duty whitewater version. Their ultralights get down to closer to 7 ounces, and it's just a joy to paddle. It's almost effortless. There's hardly any weight to it. It was great. I used it to, I should talk a little bit about the trip I did. Yeah, so the idea was to do a cross-Canada trip, and I started way out in Kitimat, BC, British Columbia coast. Paddled down through a few inlets to a little place called Camano, where I did my first portage, which was 51 kilometers, starting out at sea level, going up and over the coast mountains. Went through a mountain pass at 3,300 feet, I believe it was, and then back down to a series of lakes starting at 2,700 feet elevation, where I started paddling again, series of lakes and rivers, eventually onto the Nechako River, and into the town of Prince George, British Columbia, and then up the Fraser from there, and so on and so forth. Long story short, 6 months later, I was in Montreal, Quebec. And the canoe I used was a Clipper C1. I'll leave a link to that down below in the video description, and you can check that out. It's a decked canoe. A good friend of mine actually was the designer, James Van Riemsdyk. I didn't know him at the time, but I got to know him very well the following year when I went out and was working for Clipper Canoes. Anyways, that's paddle number 2, Zaveral bench shaft. I've had this for 17 years now, and this is the paddle I never plan to part with. I love this thing. As for the trip itself, the cross-Canada canoe trip, using the Zaveral, I could go on and on about that trip, describing the route and some of the stuff that went on during it, but I'm going to hold off for that, and I'm going to actually be going through a bunch of photos from that trip. Remember, it was in 2004. This was approximately 1 year before YouTube was created, so no video for that one. I do have a lot of photos, and I'm going to copy those over, make sort of a photo-based YouTube video for that. I'm hoping to get that done at some point this winter. Maybe if we get another big long cold snap, I'll take a few days and work on that. But that's for later. Okay, so next up, last but not least, is a wooden Greenland paddle. Laminated wooden Greenland paddle. And as I mentioned earlier, that's what I'm best known for in the paddle world. For building a lot of these. I've probably built a couple thousand of them. I've shipped them all over the world, throughout Canada, throughout the United States, Australia, Iceland, the UK, Sweden, Finland, Norway, Argentina, Venezuela, New Zealand, even China, Singapore actually, Singapore. Sent them all over the place. This one, I didn't make this. Nope. But this is a very special paddle to me, one that I won't be getting rid of. And my dad made this. Back in about 1998, 1999 was when this paddle was built. And it's the first Greenland paddle that I ever even tried. I think it was 1999. Yeah, 1999. My dad and I and a few others in the kayak club that we had going. We were out for a paddle, and he hands this over to me. He says, "Here, give this a try." It didn't look quite like this. I added the stain later on. But he said, "Give this a try." And I sort of laughed, and I had this nice shiny carbon fiber paddle that I kind of liked, and I thought that was just great. What do I want to try this little skinny stick for? But he kept going, and it wouldn't take no for an answer, so eventually we switched paddles. I took this, and I'm thinking, okay, I'll give it a try. Felt a little weird at first, but got going with it, and okay, you can move a kayak with this. It moves along okay. Might be able to get used to this. And then he says, now try and roll with it. Back in those days, my roll was kind of hit or miss, maybe 50-50, and I'm thinking, there's no way I can roll with this. No freaking way. I mean, look, it's just skinny. It's just a little paddle. I can't roll with that, Dad. That's what I said. And he says, try it anyways. So I set up for a roll, and I'm all set up. I do the flip over, I'm doing the roll to come back up. I came up so hard, so fast, so easy, I almost went over the other side. I had to quickly do a brace. And then I'm thinking, what the heck is this? And I did a few more rolls, very impressed, and started paddling with it off and on. I'm still using my carbon Euro paddle quite a bit back then. It took a couple years before I was fully using just Greenland paddles, but very quickly I was using them quite often. And eventually Dad, he gave me this one to keep. And the first time I set the speed record going around Vancouver Island, which was back in 2007, guess what paddle I did that with? You're looking at it. So this is the one that got me into Greenland style paddles. This is the paddle that got me around Vancouver Island the first time I circumnavigated the island, which was a speed record at the time, 23 days. That was quickly broken a year later. Sean Morley knocked a handful of days off it. 2 years later, I went back and knocked another day off it, also with Greenland paddles. Not this one, but just hold on a second. I've got one in the corner here I'm going to grab. It's collecting dust. Be right back. This one needs a refresh. I got to sand this down and refinish it. It's all beat up right now. But back in 2010, this is one of the paddles I took out to Vancouver Island with me, and this is mainly the one I was using when setting the speed record. But this video isn't about the paddles that I built. It's about paddles I have that I really like that I didn't build. So we're going to set this one aside. I am going to refurbish that one soon, and then maybe I'll do a little video about the process of tidying that up, cleaning it up, and talk a little more about it, but that's for another time. But yeah, this is the paddle that got me into Greenland paddling, and that was 1999. 2005 is when I started building my own paddles for the first time. I was only building a few here and there back then, sell a couple now and then, use that for some pocket money, help pay for gear, help pay for the trips I was doing. In 2007, like I said, used this and getting the speed record for sea kayaking around Vancouver Island. 2008, started selling more and more paddles. Moved here to where I am right now, and eventually really started selling a lot of paddles. And it all is from this one. So there you go. That's the 3 paddles that are among my favorites that I didn't build. Love them all and never get rid of those ones. And I just thought I'd do a little video, something a little bit different, a bit of background on my paddling. Wing paddle, the bent shaft Zaveral canoe paddle I used for the Cross Canada solo expedition. I do have to get a video going on that. And the Greenland paddle that kind of changed everything for my kayaking. So I hope you like this video, and if you don't mind, take a second and hit the like button down below. That helps the channel grow. And if you haven't already, please also hit the subscribe button and maybe leave some comments down below. In the description box, I'm going to have a link to the Clipper C1 canoe that I used. And there might be a couple paddle links in there, maybe one for Epic, one for Zaveral. And there will also be a couple of Amazon links. I'm part of the Amazon affiliate program. And if you click on one of those links, see something you like, and I get a tiny commission on that, and that helps me put some money towards better camera gear, which I am in desperate need of, and other gears for doing trips and things like that. So anyways, I appreciate all that. If you're still here this long, I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back shortly with another video. I've got about a half dozen right now on the go that I'm trying to get put together. Should have a couple more up within the next 2 or 3 days. And that's it for now. Talk to you soon.